We are now recording and we are live. Welcome to all of you. This is Verse Virtual Book Party number 5, where we get a chance to blast our books, hopefully convince someone that they can't live without them, and read a poem from the book as a teaser. I will post links before we close out so that if you're interested, you can find the book that or the books that really appealed to you. Let's go ahead and get started. As soon as I can get my timer set. No one has run over time yet, but I still, just the way I am. 4 minutes and 30 seconds. All right, Jefferson, you're the first on the list. You have 5 minutes to plug your book and read a poem. And if you don't take the full 5, that's okay.
All right. I probably won't take the full 5. So I'm going to read from an older book. I found, surprised myself, I found a small carton of these books. It was my 2013 New and Selected, and it's called Get Serious. It was published by Chax Press, and this is one of the poems in it. I still like this poem, so I'm going to read it. It's called Amulet.
And then you're going to show us the book, right?
Yeah, let me reach over and grab it. Okay, good. So here's the book. Can you see it all right?
No,
Closer
Go back
to
a
the
bit.
camera. Put it right up to the
Let me
camera.
check.
you're not going to be able to see.
No, go back a bit and look. Yeah.
That's what I was looking for. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. It's by the cover's by Jim Wade, who does all my covers. He's a really, really good artist.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hey. Amulet. The vet calls it extrusion and prescribes an antibiotic room temperature, as if the cat cares. He'll lose that fang in a few weeks. I asked the vet if she knows some place that could gold plate the tooth and hang it on a silver chain, an amulet against this evil century. She shrugs and glances away as if I'm a Scientologist or mentally ill. Oh, ye of little faith, the my rebels believed holy water changed the bullets of the government troops into rain. They brandish spears, wearing nothing but shower caps on their heads, and around their necks, bath plugs for amulets. Easy pose, not easy no more. Nothing, not easy no more. But come, hang this cat's tooth around your neck and see how much it helps. The my rebels, 20% almost survived.
Wow.
Thank you.
That was good.
Oh, well, thank you.
Like that.
So, yeah, I like it too.
All right. Steve Henn, you are up next. And after Steve, Ken. Pobo.
Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Henn. I live in Indiana, and this is my new book from Main Street Rag Publishing. It's called
Okay.
Guilty Prayer. The book, I got sober around the time I was writing a lot of poems in this book, and I was writing about some past traumatic, experiences, and I'm going to read the one poem that's kind of at the heart of the difficult experiences that the book talks about. It has a lot to do. The cover is by my ex-wife who died by suicide in 2013. We have kids together, and so this poem deals with that and a few other things. It's called Dissociation. Some things cannot be talked about. The last time I saw my father lying on the living room floor. How I sat at my bedroom desk, unable to concentrate on driver's ed homework, repeating in my head, I didn't need to run through the woods to the hospital on the other side of the neighborhood. Mom said this was nothing, so it would be nothing. Any moment now, back to our regularly scheduled life. Any minute now, back to our regularly scheduled program. Some moments I live again. So many moments when nothing happened. Confined in Bloomington, I was sure I would be beaten. I waited for it. I didn't do anything. It was like they expected me to acquiesce. We want to punish you, and we want you to want your punishment. Crave it. Lick it up like spilt whiskey on the hardwood floor. Nothing happened. Nothing ever happens again and again. When he died, it was nothing. And she was nothing. Another trick. Another actor playing a role to provoke a response. Another cipher in this matrix of sorcery. This joke of a life the gods gave me. But I do love the children she gave me. Spare them. Spare them, oh God, if it is true that you are good, because I want to believe it, to believe in you. Spare my children. I do love them so.
Oh,
Painfully good.
oh.
All
Yeah, I
right,
feel your pain.
Ken Pobo.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh,
Yep.
good. I'll talk close to the mic. It's nice to see so many people that I've seen, not just in Verse Virtual, but in different literary journals and communication over the time. So, hello. The book is called, if I get it right up here, Uneven Stephen, and it's on Assure Press, which is a new, fairly new press out of Texas. And what it is essentially, it's my poet's attempt to, in some ways, write a novel. I have no ability in writing novels. I'll never write one. Short is my world, but I like the idea of developing character. And so Uneven Stephen is about a gay character, and it's not a book where it's like the first poem is about his childhood and then it goes on and develops it in any sort of chronological order. I think of the book as more like if you had a whole bunch of photographs and you dumped the photographs on the table and then went through the photographs and said, oh yeah, that's part of his life and that's part of his life. And that's kind of what I'm at least aiming for in Uneven Stephen. I did find a short poem that I'll share with you. I'm not sure it's representative of the poems in the book. The poems are mostly in free verse, though not totally here. This one is called Steve and the Empty Tree. Make me a leafless tree. Sparrows visit my branches, sing, fly. Winter gets nasty, but how sweet to let everything go, to stand before a falling flake, an acrobat leaping from a cloud, resembling only itself, wind carrying it through me. Thank you.
Excellent. I like it. Okay, next on the list is Stephanie Kendrick.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, James. Really grateful for you hosting this, and I'm really happy to kind of join this community, and I felt very welcome so far. So very good to see some faces. I'm going to be reading from my new and debut chapbook, Places We Feel Warm, by Main Street Rag, just published, just released at the beginning of March. And I think I can squeeze two pieces in if that's okay. The first was
Whoa, you'll get in trouble with me, but go ahead. We may give you time to read a second one when we're done. 'Cause we're
Oh,
gonna stay
okay.
on.
Okay, that's a newbie mistake. I misread the rules.
No problem.
Okay, so I'm gonna read one. It's baptism. If you think I'm gonna bend backwards, head first in the shallow wind of the Ohio River, you have rocks for brains. Those other kids lined up to be preyed on, pastor sweating, tears drip from his pores, turn to steam before cutting the surface. Tension punctuates our stories. Catfish big as cars, swallow men whole, Bobby Joe getting hickeys on the Russell Bridge, then not making it home that night. Every damn time I have water to my knees, I am swimming away from boys who want to dunk me under, see me drown, and still come back for air. No thank you, preacher man. Acid draining from the holes in your face. Soaked through that Sunday suit, I see the stains. And there's not enough sludge in this whole damn river to wash us clean. Thank you.
I like it. That was fun. Okay, next up. Is Tina Parker here? I don't recall seeing her come in. And I don't have anyone waiting. If not, then we'll go to Rose.
Okay,
Yes?
I'm reading from a book that came out in 2016. Hang on, with my background, this is difficult. I didn't know it would do that. There you go.
There it is.
Anyway, it's about me, really unashamedly, when some young friends of mine discovered, as they said, that I was born in history. I asked them, what do you mean? Because we're all born in history, aren't we? And they said, well, you were born in the Second World War. And then I started to look, and I found bits and pieces and wrote it down. It's been written down twice, once in what became a novel and once as poetry. And these are the poems. And on the one hand, it's about me, and it's a little exorcism, because you sit on these experiences like you sit on Vietnam or whatever, and you have a Pandora's box, you sit on the lid, and when you open it, you don't find it all, you just find bits and pieces. So these are the poems. But at the same time, it's also interesting because I think you in the States have just passed through a time when you realized how easy it is to fall into that big autocratic fascist hole. Anyway, let me do the first one. These are numbered poems. And this is the one that actually illustrates how easy it is to get children to just accept what is going on. My brother has a beige brown shirt and shorts, a leather belt with a big buckle, and a black tie, which he feeds through a complicated looking round ball shape made from hard strips of leather that twist around each other, leaving a hole in the center. He tells me that he is in the Hitlerjugend. They play guitar and sing around campfires and go on long marches. I want to be like him when I grow up. Sometimes he plays marching soldiers with me. I put on a special jacket and follow him. He is the sergeant. We march through the flat, from the hall, through the dining room to the living room and back again. And we sing.
I have that book. I like it a lot.
Thank you.
Next up, Judy Kronenfeld. I thought I saw you come in, and there you are. You'll have to unmute.
Yes.
Great.
Hi, I'm going to be reading from Bird Flying Through the Banquet. I hope you can see it, which came out in 2017 from Future Cycle Press. And one of its central themes is memory. It attempts to reclaim my very quickly disappearing youth in an immigrant New York City neighborhood. I'm very much a first-generation American. And I'm interested in memory as something that is not static, but keeps on reconstructing the past. So, for example, one of the poems is called Lives of the Dead, but I'm not going to read that one. I'm also interested in the fact that our earliest memories can be more vibrant than our more recent ones, perhaps because the given world is just that, the given, and we have nothing to compare it. Nothing is notable yet, although we note it all. It's not a scrapbook of notable places we visited. So the ordinary absolutely fascinates me. And one of the poems in the book, I talk about roller skating as a kid from one street corner to the other, landing at another corner, newsstand, candy store, barber shop, utterly, beautifully unremarkable. So one of the things I try to do in the book is recapture that moment in our lives when nothing was notable in the sense I just said. Using that line, a couple of reviewers note something like this. One is my former colleague, Chris Buckley. These poems attest to the significance of each life, which is utterly, beautifully unremarkable. And Robbi's husband, Richard also says something like that in a wonderful review that he did. So I want to read a poem that attests to the significance of each utterly beautiful, unremarkable life and to the ongoing, never-ending processes of memory and its reconstructions. This is called 10 Minutes. My father always set the alarm 10 minutes early, 4:50 instead of 5 a.m., so he could fall back into a hazy sleep on the hide-a-bed in the living room. Perhaps he was gentling himself, showing himself a deliberate kindness by adding a step between oblivion and the icy jolt of another exhausting day. Perhaps his sleep was made that much more delicious because he was almost conscious of it, almost enjoyed the sensation of sleeping while sleeping. Thought, 10, 9, 8, 7 more long minutes, as I did, following his lead on interminable high school mornings. Before, rank with sleep sweat, he sat a few seconds in striped boxers and ribbed undershirt, then hauled himself up to shower in our tiny bathroom, humid with laundry, and get dressed for work. It's terrifying how far back this memory goes. I feel as if I've had to lie on my belly with a headlamp an inch forward in the dark to see it. And now I grab hold of it as if he could have 10 minutes again. And I could grant them because I remember how he treasured them. 10 minutes as good as pre-dinner cupcakes for a kid who's been bullied at school when at last he's home. 10 more minutes of breathing for me to see him. 9, 8, 7, 6. As if 10 minutes would sweeten arm-twisting death or gentle me into braving his.
Thank you. Ralph, your
All
turn.
right. Well, many thanks to Jim for hosting these book parties. And I'm going to post the information about my latest book. This is Things Haven't Been the Same from Finishing Line Press. I read it at an earlier book party, read from it. And since I guess I'm being invited to plug the book, I thought I'd read one of the blurbs for the book. And this is from somebody you probably all know, and this is from Alan Wolowitz. And Alan was kind enough to write the following blurb for my book. He writes, "Here's a writer who takes us on a journey through both his poetic life and his real life, appropriately quizzical, sometimes whimsical, but always with great wisdom. Ralph understands the wonder of the ways of nature and the way the physical world can reflect and even heal the world inside ourselves." So many thanks to Alan for that. And going to read a poem, if I can find it. Called Into Falling Snow. Into falling snow. In one scene, the diners go into falling snow and dance around a well. A small boy is afraid to climb into a small boat in a notch of quiet water. Particles of mercy cover a city of fire at laundry time, in the washing and folding of clothes. I am twice born in an allegory of wings, responsible for interpretation, disturbed by the sense of hands on which fingers have become feathers. A stone falls into the well, speaks volumes in the hour after sunrise, when crows and gulls start arguing. We reach out to battlefields, asylums, slums, allegorists of pain. Daddy, what are the words after off they hurry flying? She is nesting with the once born, reaching her tiny hand for quarters to get the washing started. Thank you.
Thank you. Robbi Nestor, we're ready for you to present.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks for having me. And I don't know whether you're going to be able to see this because of my stupid background. And if I didn't have the background, you would have to look at my closet.
If you put it right in front of your face, it will be okay.
There it is.
Yep, we can
The
see
book
that.
is Narrow Bridge. It was published by Main Street Rag in 2019. The cover is a painting by Robert Rhodes, a wonderful painter who I've collaborated with on ekphrastic projects. And you can find his work on Facebook. I decided to write myself an answer to questions that Jim asked about why I chose this book. Besides, it's my fourth published book. It was published, as I said, in 2019. But I chose it because I feel that with this book, I became more sophisticated in the art of constructing a manuscript, which is not to say that I've mastered that at all. I'm wrangling with one right now that threatens to strangle me. Each of my books has poems in them that I'm proud of, but this one marks the first time when I truly began to discover that there was something a little more complex about putting a collection together than I had realized. I used to see putting together a poetry manuscript as being like dropping flowers kind of haphazardly into a vase. Since I know nothing of ikebana, I don't recognize the principles of organization intrinsic in putting flowers in a vase. So it seems simple to me. In the same way, before that book, I didn't know how to think about the overall effect of the arrangement of poems, but focused only on each individual poem, thinking every once in a while about how it related to its immediate neighbors. But in putting together this book with the help of devoted friends and readers, I began to sense a larger context and made an effort to reach toward an overarching shape or structure, something that I couldn't see in writing and revising individual poems. I realized then that assembling a book of poems is more like editing a film than putting together a puzzle. Because when you put together a puzzle, you're guided by a pre-existing image. But the individual frames in a film are part of a larger structure that doesn't exist until you create it. The Images can be assembled in multiple ways, and sometimes that requires a radical revision of your original conception of the work. In the same way, a book of poems requires a poet's shaping eye to conceive of that shape and bring it into being for the reader. So I'm going to read you one poem from the book. It's called Conversation. Trafficking with immensities is dangerous. Knowing this, I went down to the sea and spoke to her, a kind of seance, though neither she nor I was dead. I thought about the moon, drawing the sea out of her basin like a hypnotist. Thousands of miles apart, that hunk of rock still makes the ocean leap and yearn, and riles us too with its insistent light. The longing between them is that contagious. I'm not the moon. She could hardly hear my voice over the wind and water, though I could tell that she was listening by her expectant silence. I asked the ocean what message she might send, and then I waited. For a moment, the sea lay calm and smooth, and then she raised a wide black wing as a man might lift a hand to slap a fly out of the air. From a dry spot beyond the tide pools, I watched the wave crash down where I had stood and might have stopped at that, but being curious and none too wise, came creeping down the bank toward the rippling surf, like arcs on an oscilloscope. Putting out a calming hand, I sang to her and found that Sphinx, the ocean, opened up her silver eyes and let me sit between her paws. Thank you.
Thank you. Lots of great images. Okay, Chella, you're new to us. Welcome.
Thank you, Jim. Sterling sent me an invitation. I think this is a great idea. So I have 5 minutes, is that correct?
That is correct.
So my book is, and you should be able to see the title, Adele and Tom, The Portrait of a Marriage. It is a novella in flashes. It was inspired by Evan Cannell's Mrs. Bridge, and Adele and Tom tells of a writing couple in Santa Barbara, California, struggling to keep their relationship together. While their love for each other is apparent, so are their difficulties. Told from both points of view, the novella examines the increasing distance between two artists, attempting to occupy the same space. One writer's success is the other's failure. But finally, the story is Adele's, as she struggles with relationship, self, and aging. A woman born and raised in the Appalachian South, yet living in California, she explores who she is through the past and the present. A blurb for the novella is from Robin Lippincott, author of Blue Territory, a meditation on the life and art of Joan Mitchell. Lippincott says, Adele and Tom, The Portrait of a Marriage is a stunning lyrical tour de force that evokes Virginia Woolf's best novels, fluidly tracing in form and content the complex labyrinthine back and forth between a married couple, both of whom are artists. It is a glorious piece of work. And he says it is a glorious work. And I'm going to read an excerpt. Jim, are you keeping the time?
I am. You have 2 minutes and 53 seconds.
Okay, just cut me off. The chapters are short. This is chapter 55. Tom sat at the round kitchen table, reading Blood Meridian for the third time. Adele placed slices of orange in front of him. "Have you finished, Mrs. Dalloway?" she asked. There was a pause, almost a felt presence between her questions and his responses, longer now that he wasn't teaching. Finally, he looked up, the novel still open. "Almost," and looked down again, turning the page. How could he say so little? Almost. And that was it. That was all. He had lived with her 15 years. He knew she adored Wolf, especially Clarissa, and all he could say was almost. One word, as if it were enough. Wanting to scream, Adele stood nearly 20 seconds, her hand squeezing the rail of the chair before she sat across from him. He mumbled, or she thought he mumbled, and his carriage hardened because he sensed what was coming. "What do you think?" she asked. He breathed in this deliberate manner that bordered on a groan. "It's a bit slow. The writing is lovely, but Wolf doesn't pull me in," he said, his finger holding his place in McCarthy. Lovely. She wanted to hit him. She wanted to talk about how the novel slips from the present to the past and back again, how everyone has a point of view, even the girls selling petticoats, how the miracle of existence culminates in Clarissa at the top of the stairs. He could see her lips tightening, her presence receding. Closing his novel, he said, "Sorry, that was a bit glib. The language is pure as one image unfolds into another, but she reads like a performance, a spectacle." He pushed his chair back so he could cross his legs. "Spectacle?" she asked. "What the hell do you mean? You read about massacre and bloodshed and then call Wolf spectacle because Wolf's not killing for her audience attention." "Wolf killed Septimus," he said. "Asshole."
And
He
that's
knew
it.
not enough not to smile. Adele walked to the fridge and grabbed a bottle of water. Maybe she'd throw it at him or shatter the glass and stab him.
Let's
On
let
the
it,
wall,
Chella, we're going to suspend that bottle in midair.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
That was really interesting. It reminded me immediately when you started of the John Prine song that has a line in that says, "How the hell can a person go to work in the morning and come home in the evening and have nothing to say?" All right. Next up is Birdman.
Okay. How everybody doing? I go by the name of author poet Birdman 313. Born and raised in Benton Harbor, Michigan, but I've been living in Houston, Texas for the last 30 years. Self-published. My book is found at Amazon. I don't know if you can see it. Elements of Life. It's found at Amazon. And a lot of my poems go by the title, Elements of Life. And this first one here, I'm gonna read. Plus also I must say that majority of my poems have videos to them. So if a person wants to see the video with the poem, they can go to my YouTube channel. This first poem is titled The Dark Side. Every night we dream of many things. Half of them we will never remember. Our dreams are only things our brain are trying to sort out. We only focus on what we want to remember. The rest are left to visit the dark side of the moon. When love comes to us with all its pleasure and pain, then departs, it breaks our hearts. As with everything in life, we tend to want to forget, package them together, stash them away. Then, on the appropriate day, we send them to the dark side of the moon. The dark side of the moon is where dreams are discarded and where old love letters stay. I don't mind living alone on the dark side of the moon if it will keep me from feeling the pain of another wound. The cold November skies bring all sins to light. I need a hiding place where each moment is as dark as night. I will always love you, but my darling, please let me go. Before I kiss you one last time, I want to let you know, if you ever find the courage to finally set yourself free, look on the dark side of the moon. That's where I'll be. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was our last scheduled reader for today.
Oh, Jim,
Did I miss you, Neil?
you did.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Neil, who has
Yeah.
come all the way from Australia to join us,
Yeah.
take it away.
Oh, thank you very much, Jim. Yes, it's Saturday here in the morning. And I'm going to read, as I did last time, from my book, Loving Leah, which is published by Kelsey Books. And last time I read from the first book and poem, and today I'm going to read the last poem. It's not the last words in the book. The last words are taken from the play King Lear, and the great forgiveness scene. Leah says, "Be your tears wet? Yes, Faith, I pray weep not. If you have poison for me, I will drink it. I know you do not love me, for your sisters have, as I do remember, done me wrong. You have some cause, they have not." And Cordelia says, "No cause, no cause." And this is sort of tracing that idea, the domestic part of King Lear. And it's in two parts. The first part is a portrait of Leah with an H, third person. And the second part is first person, and it's Cordelia's attempts to understand and find acceptance and forgiveness for the betrayal, which you could read about in the thing. It's an emotional betrayal. She doesn't have the same opportunity that Cordelia in the play has, because Leah takes her secret with her to the grave, and my Cordelia, has to kind of find that reconciliation. So I'm going to read you the last poem. The last poem is called Tapestry, and Cordelia here uses that image of the tapestry and the loom, because it's that idea that you make your choices, and in a way you create your own life. You choose the colors of it. Some are chosen for you, but you do make very much of this is what she's thinking. There's a tapestry, and you are very much part of the creation of it. So here it is, Tapestry, the last poem in my book, Loving Leah. The loom is quiet. Its treadles are still. The shuttles, once filled with somber weft spools of darkly shining silk, are almost spent. Silently, I add new shuttles. Splice a brighter palette for an open French door, light, zephyr-lifted curtains, transparent silver morning light, rich complexity of sun sparkling on myriad green, and the sense of bird song. Yes, there must be bird song. There must be joy. Yet, let me unroll the cloth roller and look at you for one last time as you shuffle along your darkened corridor. It is well before dawn. Those visions of children which so haunt your sleep have woken you again. Your stoop is not just the weight of years, but a heavier load of guilt bearing relentlessly down. Over and over again come those terrible words. Whatever will people think of me? Too late for that now. I re-roll the cloth. I have grieved long enough. Through the open door is blue sky, but I will weave through every scene that remains those little bits of glowing silk thread that depict the light of your eyes and the gentleness of your smile. I must also take one thread of dark, somber silk, a sadly powerful reminder of the tragedy and folly that comes when independence is surrendered, when strength of body wanes and the diminished spirit grows vulnerable and weak. I rearrange the shuttles with spools of shining blues, greens, and splashes of gold and vermilion. I put my foot to the treadle. With a clatter, the parts move, warp, thread absorbs weft, and the tapestry moves on. Let all your years of goodness outweigh those final spools of silent, secret surrender. Now take your peace. Dream no more. Wring your hands no more. Rest quietly. Sleep easily. I carry you in my heart, even as I let you go, and with you all the grief and sorrow of your last days. I love you, always. But now, dear one, I say goodbye. 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 Thank you. Jim.
Thank you. So let me save the chat. And confirm that it actually did save. Okay, we're good. And at this point, I'm going to stop recording